What's up, everybody? I am here. I'm live. I'm not a cat. I'm Uncle Mad. We are on site at the future home of Nashville Soccer Club. Wanted to come here today because I wanted to talk about the upcoming season, and I also wanted to check out the construction on the stadium and how it's coming. You can actually kind of see it behind me here through the trees. I'm going to go back here and see if I can get a little bit of a closer look, but it is kind of unbelievable how far along it's come so far. So let's see if we can get a look up ahead at the stadium. All right, so here we go. We've got a little closer look at the stadium here. You can see one level of the risers is kind of going into place over there. It's really coming along nicely. Also on the backside here, they've got some future sites of some future field work here. Some goals already in place. Very cool, just to give you a wayfinder. If you're familiar with the fairgrounds, there is the racetrack. There is the future home of Nashville SC. And it is coming along very nicely. A lot is going on, a lot of construction right now. It's only a matter of time. May 2022 is when this thing is scheduled to open. All right, so let's talk about Nashville C. What do we think is going to happen this season? I've got some pretty high expectations. Not too high, not too high. I'm trying to keep it realistic. Is it going to be, you know, a sophomore slump or comeback of the year? That's a Fall Out Boy song, I think. Don't fact check me on that. But one of the things I was concerned with when I, first started following Nashville SC, first started getting into the MLS was, it seemed like from a casual fan perspective, following the MLS, that there was a lot of roster turnover in the MLS from year to year to year, which to me made it seem like it'd be hard to get into the team, get into being a fandom. But luckily, Nashville SC pretty much kept the band together. The team that went to the conference semifinals last year, for all intents and purposes, they brought the whole team back. In particular, all the players you expect to be in the starting 11 are still in the team, still planning to be around and in the squad. That stellar defense we had last year, led by the Defender of the Year, Walker Zimmerman, best acquisition in MLS history. That's coming from somebody who's followed MLS very lightly up until this point. We've got two outstanding fullbacks, Alistair Johnson, one of the rising stars of the league, Dan Lovitz, highly underrated, Romney, Walker's center back partner, probably the most underrated center back in the league. Once again, that's from somebody who doesn't know much about the rest of the league. But I mean, the whole starting 11 is a very solid group, and I like what they did in terms of adding to the attack, the depth there. We went out and got CJ Sapong, a veteran MLS striker. Hopefully he had some goals, had some experienced leadership into the team. Added Rodrigo Pinheiro, one of the top U23 players in Uruguay. I don't know if there's an expectation for him to really break into the team and do much this season, or if he's a project for the future. I kind of think more of the latter. He'll probably give us an option off the bench, change the pace here and there, but I think in terms of him being a long-term player for the team, that's probably what the goal is for him. So, but a good addition. Mike Jacobs has hit on all the signings so far. I expect these to continue to go that way. I would argue Mike Jacobs is the most important signing we've made in our team's history, because he has nailed the roster build from this point forward. Depth in center midfield, everybody who covers the team has pretty much said that's the biggest issue. Dax McCarthy, Annabelle Godoy, solid two-man pivot in the midfield there. But beyond that, we got Matt LaGrassa. I was impressed by how he came from USL to MLS. I thought he was a little bit shaky of a player to keep on the MLS roster, but whenever he was called upon last season, he did his job. He did what needed to be done. He's nothing spectacular, but he is a good depth option. But you can't expect a Godoy, and especially McCarthy at his age, to be playing every single game. So would have liked to have seen us add maybe one extra midfielder there, but we have a couple of decent options there. So we'll see what happens with that grouping there. But like I said, overall, the overall roster is pretty solid. We added some good depth in attack to give us a few more options. Defense, we added some depth. I think Jack Marr is going to take a big step forward this season after, kind of having a quiet rookie campaign. We just signed another top pick from last year's draft. Got him in a trade from Inter Miami, so we have now like 2 of the top 3 or 4 picks from last year's draft. Not Daryl DK, the one we probably wish we had, but still, I mean, that's a good defense for the future. Got options. Alistair, Johnston has started to break into the Canadian national team, so you would expect he's going to miss some games between World Cup qualifying, between the Gold Cup, so having some depth there is huge. Walker Zimmerman might find himself more in the mix with the U.S. national team. Once again, an opportunity for Jack Marr to step in and get some games here and there. But overall, a pretty solid squad. I don't know if it's a squad that's going to challenge for a championship quite yet. There's probably still a little bit more of explosiveness, a little bit more depth that's going to be needed in the long term, but the consistency they have in the roster makes me believe it's going to be a very similar season to last season. Now, if the season isn't interrupted by a massive global pandemic, how does that affect the team compared to what happened last year? Are they able to get more of a roll going than what they were last year? I don't know. What I do like is Gary Smith. He's a consistent coach. You got to feel like he's going to keep us in positions where we're not going to get blown out. We're going to be in almost every game because he's going to set us up in a tactical way that'll keep teams from being able to get it into the goal. They don't have to get in the goal. Getting the ball into the goal easily. So if we can just get 1 to 2 goals, 3 out of our attack, suddenly we're a much better looking team than what we were at times last year, where we were getting a lot of 0-0s, a lot of 1-0s, a lot of 0-1s. So it's going to be an interesting season. I expect us to kind of be in the 3rd to 4th range in the regular season on the Eastern Conference, get us in the playoffs there. And the good thing about getting into the playoffs in the MLS with a coach like Gary Smith, who's going to keep you from being beaten easily. I mean, you don't have to go score. I said it last year. You don't have to score goals to win in the playoffs. Keep the other team out of your net, get to extra time, get to shootouts, anything can happen. So while I don't think we're necessarily set up to win a championship yet, with the way Gary Smith coaches, the way he sets his teams up, if we can just get to the playoffs, anything can happen. I don't think anybody expected us to go to the conference semifinals last year, and we were right there. Ultimately lost to the eventual champions Columbus Crew. Nothing to turn your nose up at. So I expect more of the same this season. 3rd, 4th regular season, another decent playoff run. And who knows? Who knows what can happen? Once you get in the playoffs, that's all you got to do. Before I wrap up today, I want to talk about the first game. It's coming up this Saturday, April 17th. Home opener at our current home, not here. This isn't quite ready yet. We're going to be over at Nissan Stadium for FC Cincinnati, the biggest rivalry between two teams that have never actually played each other in MLS. The fan bases talk so much crap between each other on Twitter. It's beautiful. I love it. I love being a part of it. I love seeing it develop, and I can't wait to see it happen out on the field. We need this win because pretty much other than Tucker Hume's big goal, FC Cincinnati kind of has all the ammo from our USL days. We never beat them in our time in USL, including they knocked us out of the playoffs, their last game in the USL. Or was it our last game in the USL? I don't remember. They've got, in terms of head-to-head matchups, all the ammo, but that was all back in the USL. It's MLS time now. It's time to get some results. If you look at them, they took a very different strategy. A lot of people called our strategy Moneyball. I didn't really think so much of that. We didn't sign any huge over-the-top European players. We were very strategic in the players that Mike Jacobs went out and got, so I liked the way he built the roster. FC Cincinnati did not do Moneyball. They did don't spend any Moneyball because, you know, I don't know why. I would assume it's, you know, Minnesota United took a similar tactic, brought up most of their USL squad, didn't really invest much in the roster. It's very expensive to be an MLS expansion team. I believe it's a $150 million expansion fee, and then whatever it costs to build yourself one of these. So for the first 2 seasons, FC Cincinnati didn't really invest in their roster, was pretty content to just get smashed and be the worst team in the league. That's where they're at. This season, they have invested slightly in their attack, brought in a couple new forwards that can maybe give them some more goals, make them more competitive in the league, but doesn't look like those players are going to be quite ready to hit the ground running yet when the season starts. So advantage Nashville SC. I think we take this one. I think we stomp on their throats. I think we get the season off to a good roll. But if you've seen any of my gambling vlogs, seen any of my picks that I've put out on my Twitter account, I am not the best at making predictions, so I might have just cursed Nashville SC in this first match. But nonetheless, it's going to be fun to be there. Capacity, we just found out today, has been up to 40% for the stadium, so we're slowly inching back to it being that raucous, packed stadium with people chanting and singing that we've been waiting for ever since that one home game we got last year where the stadium was packed. People were going nuts. And Atlanta United got the better of the day, but who cares? We had a good season. They did not. Victory for us once again. So excited to get rolling. There's going to be a lot of Nashville SC content coming to the channel now with the season starting back up, as long as it's not interrupted by another global pandemic. Fingers crossed. So make sure you're subscribed and you stay tuned for all of that. We're going to the game Saturday, so we'll definitely have a game day vlog from that. And nothing left to say on this one, but come on, you boys in gold. We do have racing this weekend at the Fairgrounds Speedway. Should I go to one of these race weekends here at the Fairgrounds, see what it's like? I am a huge NASCAR fan now, so maybe I should dip my toe in the water by starting out here at the Fairgrounds before the big race comes here in June. You can see through the trees there, kind of another angle of the stadium on the backside here. I gotta imagine these people in these houses are probably the ones that were at the community meetings throwing a fit about the stadium being right there. You can imagine, unless you're a huge soccer fan, not exactly a great place to live. Okay, so right about the time I finished recording the vlog. I hopped on Twitter, just see what's going on in the world. And apparently today there was a media event going on at the stadium where select people were brought in to tour the In Progress Stadium. Thanks for no invite, Nashville SC, and damn you, Ben Wright. Just kidding. Ben Wright is a great follow on Twitter for all things Nashville SC. Great source of information, always up to date on what's going on with the club. And he's a Manchester United fan, so you know he's right about all things soccer. Give him a follow. Just wanted to add that on.